Good morning, everyone. Chris Prophy, Musically Obsessed. Happy Thursday. All right, what I want to talk about today is a band called Blood on the Saddle. Now, I've shown their albums before, but I've never really gotten a chance to talk about them. And what I like about doing this is I learned something in the research as well, because I look up these bands and I try to give you guys some information. And in that process, I learned stuff about this band that I didn't know about. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about them. They've come out with a whole bunch of albums, but I want to concentrate on the first three albums with the original lineup. They're still recording to this day. They actually just came out with a new album in 2019 called True Blood. So the band is still recording, but the members have changed throughout the years, as in many bands. And I wanted to kind of concentrate on those first three original lineup albums. Okay, so here's the lineup. You've got Greg Davis on vocals and guitar. You've got Annette Zelenkas on vocals. She, I learned this today, was the original bassist in the Bangles. Yeah, I was blown away when I heard that. Herman Sinak on drums. And Ron Botello on stand-up bass. Now, Blood on the Saddle. They got their name from the traditional country song by Tex Ritter. So right away, just from the name, you have that country connection. Well, that's what these guys are. They're a mixture of country music and punk. And it's been called different types of music. It's been called cowpunk, it's been called country punk, it's been called psychobilly, but it's in that genre of a mixture of traditional country and punk put together. It's an exciting type of music. And with the stand-up bass, it just adds a different element to their sound, which I really enjoy listening to it. So, Blood on the Saddle was formed by Greg Davis in 1983 in LA. And they kicked around for a little bit. I think they had a couple songs on an Enigma comp. And then they released their first album in 1984, simply called Blood on the Saddle. This was released on the New Alliance label, which was an offshoot of SST. It was formed by members of the Minutemen. And so it still has that SST connection. Here's what the back cover looks like. Okay. So the main members, you have Greg down here on vocals and guitar, and then here's Annette Zelenkas on vocals. Okay. So I told you that these guys were cowpunk. Let me tell you about the songs. On side one, you have a song called Blood on the Saddle. Now, this is an original. This is not the Tex Ritter song. I Wish I Was a Single Girl Again, Car Mechanics Blues, It Hurts Me a Lot More Than It Hurts You, and Banks of the Ohio. Now, Banks of the Ohio is the one non-original song on this album, and I love this song. I actually looked it up this morning because I'm like, I wanted to find out who wrote that song. Well, in looking it up, I found out that the author is unknown. It's one of those early folk songs that was sort of passed on from performer to performer. Everybody sort of added their own little thing to it. And then in that, it sort of got lost as to who the original author was. It's a 19th century murder ballad. Yeah, it's a really dark song. It's been covered by so many people. It's been covered by Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Joan Baez, Porter Wagner, just to name a few, and obviously Blood on the Saddle as well. Really dark song, really cool song. This band does a great cover of it. Side two, Do You Want to Dance? Now that is an original written by Annette and sung by Annette, I believe. Freight Train, Landlord, Ghost on My Heart, and I've Never Been Married. A couple things about this band. Like I said, I love the stand-up bass. It adds a cool element to it. And I also love the fact that Greg and Annette share vocal duties. So it it makes the listen interesting because sometimes, of course, you hear the female element and then other times you hear Greg singing. So it's a nice dynamic that they have. And not a lot of bands do that, where you have the female and the male singer. You know, obviously we know of some bands, the B-52s, and of course, you guys are putting me on the spot. I can't remember any right now, but you're going to tell me, I'm sure, in the comments. But my point is, it adds a cool element to the music, okay? Then, in 1986, they came out with an album called Poison Love. Now, this was on Chameleon Records. I do not have this album. I do plan on getting it at some point. Then, in 1987, they released their last album with the original lineup called Fresh Blood. I love that cover. Now, this album came out on SST. 1987, there's the label. Let me show you the back cover. And on this one, you've got Born with a Hole in My Pocket. I really like that song. That's a cool tune. Look that one up. Help Wanted, Always There, Never Here. Endless Highway. They do a version of Rawhide on here. Then side 2, Burning Sun, Black River, Baptist Church Blues Part 1, Baptist Church Blues Part 2. And then they do their version of Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison. So being a huge Johnny Cash fan, I knew, because I saw that these guys covered it, I knew that I would like these guys a lot, okay? Now, like I said, the original lineup broke up and sort of reformed with different members, and they've been recording ever since, like I said, or I don't know if I did say this, but in 2019, they just came out with a new album called True Blood. So there's a lot of Blood on the Saddle music out there, but I wanted to kind of concentrate on those first 3 releases with the original lineup. Real cool stuff. If you like that whole country punk genre, check these guys out. I mean, like I said, they cover a Johnny Cash song. They cover Banks of the Ohio. They got their name from Tex Ritter. There's a stand-up bass. There's male and female vocals. There's a little bit of punk, a little bit of country. So it's kind of a lot of cool stuff going on in the music. So let me know what you guys think. And you know, I like turning people on to new bands. And, you know, I've talked about the SST label again. I mean, this just shows you how diverse the SST label was. I mean, you had bands like Black Flag, Sonic Youth, The Minutemen, Dinosaur Jr., Husker Du, Angst, Slovenly, Paper Bag. And then you had a band like Blood on the Saddle, which was like a country punk thing. So SST did a whole bunch of stuff. They have a band on that label as well. I should do a video on them too, called Cruel Frederick. And they're basically a jazz band. So SST was not just punk, and they were sort of pushing that punk envelope. Blood on the Saddle was another example of that. So check them out. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And listen, if you like this video, subscribe if you are not subscribed already. Share the video. Let me know what you guys think. And you know what? Today, listen to Blood on the Saddle, but also pull out your Led Zeppelin records. Have a good one, guys.